everyone, welcome back. You're watching another episode of Rye and Reviews with Tanisha
and Courtney.
So this week's episode is called Obsessed Like. But before we get into the episode, let's start out with the rye.
That's right. This week we got a special request from my brother, actually. He wanted us to try this new Crown Royal Northern Harvest rye. So we got a bottle of Crown, and we actually get a special bag with this one. It's not a purple one. It's a fancy special bag. And we're going to drink this straight. So give it a try. Let you guys know.
Cheers. Oh my. Oh my. Okay.
So I drink whiskey. I like ryes and things or whatever. This is actually pretty smooth, if you ask me.
It was unexpected, but yeah, I mean, I just need to get into it a little bit more. But I can appreciate it. And I will say your brother had a good idea. So if anyone else wants to give us ideas on rye cocktails, please leave it in our comments. And if it's within reason, without a bunch of crazy ingredients, we might try it out. And then we'll review it, let you know what we think.
Yeah. So it's not bad. I think this is actually one that you could probably drink straight, typically. Without anything to mix with it.
Yeah, this is definitely for the grown person. After a long day of work, I can see having a glass.
And I'm not even a Crown fan, but that's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
So what would you give it?
I would give that a B+. Me.
Given the fact that I know that I don't like Crown and I'm not disgusted by this, I would actually give this one an A.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, now that we've got the rye and we're going to be drunk after this episode because someone had a heavy pour, let's move into Obsessed Like.
Right.
So, I don't know. This episode was interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, I have kind of mixed feelings about it. I thought it was a good episode, and I like the fact that they did this episode a little bit different in comparison to the other ones. You saw that they started out with Issa waking up from a dream, and she was having this recurring dream, and it was more of her internal dialogue instead of her external dialogue. So I thought that was a nice twist. And I could definitely relate to what she is going through by being ghosted by Nathan. It really sucks. It's not a good feeling to be ghosted, so I could definitely relate to what she was going through.
Being ghosted does suck, but they've been courting, dating. I don't even know if you can consider it dating, but what, 2 weeks?
I don't even know. I actually don't know how long it's been. It seems that it has been a very short time. I get the impression that they have been spending a lot of time together, though. And even when it's a short amount of time, I think for her at least, she obviously has some baggage because she's coming out of a relationship. But for her, it seemed that Nathan was pushing her in a more positive direction. So I think that's why she reacted the way that she did, because she really felt like things were going well. Her life was starting to finally come together. And then all of a sudden, this guy that she was really into and seemed to be into her just disappeared. So that kind of abrupt departure, especially when you don't know why, even if it's a short amount of time, I can understand the feeling like, okay, what's that all about? But her reaction did get a little extreme for me. I've never gone to those lengths in terms of actually full-on stalking someone, but I could relate.
That's good to know.
Yeah, not yet.
Yet. All right. So anyways, but yeah, it seems like it was a really short period of time. I get that, you know, she was in a transition in her life, and he came in, and he was, as I've been saying, the most supportive, flaky dude that she's had in her life, particularly recently, and, you know, helping her with her dreams of starting this block party and X, Y, and Z, and he's been really just a fun time, like a positive time in her life. Mm-hmm. So I get the attachment, but because it's been such a short period of time, ghosting happens every day. And I believe there are like studies saying that that's actually the best way to end something, to just ghost someone.
To ghost someone is the best way? I firmly disagree.
Or actually, they called it the slow fade.
That wasn't a slow fade, though.
It wasn't a slow fade. It was definitely just straight out ghosting her. But at the same time, how attached can you be in 2 weeks?
I don't know if it's necessarily attachment. I think it's the abrupt departure, especially when, again, they had these like very out of the ordinary, really great dates, like their first date, you know, in terms of the skinny dipping in the pool, and then the roller coaster sex at Coachella. Like, these were, they don't happen every day. So it wasn't just like, oh, let's go meet up for some drinks, some coffee, and then like we hang out. I just feel like she had really significant experiences with this guy, and then for him to totally leave right after him telling her that he liked her, I don't know, it just seems very abrupt. I think the abruptness is what's really pushing her over the edge, in my opinion.
This probably gets back to when he was saying, you know, he didn't want to come on too strong. He knew something was up. He knew something was up. And quite frankly, he started this relationship like this. He kept popping in and out. She confronted him at Coachella. He's like, you know, I didn't want to come on too strong. I'm not shocked that he disappeared again.
I mean, I guess no, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, I mean, she deletes him from the phone and everything at the end, toward the end of the episode, but as we've seen with all of the other characters, it doesn't necessarily mean he's gone anyways. He might be back next episode. So.
It doesn't, but this just brings back a major point about both men and women being bad in relationships. So even if he acknowledged that he was bad at relationships, that he didn't want to come on too strong, I just feel like there's a certain way for you to pull back without completely ghosting someone. And he didn't have to say to her, again, it's not a big deal, but he didn't have to say, like, I like you, and make it seem like things were going somewhere when they really weren't. So, again, I don't know. I just feel like this guy, he does what a lot of guys and girls do in terms of getting other people's expectations up and then not coming through, and that can lead to disastrous consequences.
He didn't get her expectations
yes, he
up.
did.
He said, I like you. He didn't say, let's get married. He didn't say, let's have kids. He said, I like you. I like you just means he likes her. He probably still likes her wherever the hell he is right now. But come on. It's been 2 weeks and he said, I like you. And this drove her to sleepless nights and always checking her phone and missing out on things that she's supposed to be doing out at work. And then driving Molly over to the guy's house to almost hack into his computer. This is ridiculous.
I mean, I think that part of it was extreme. I feel like she played herself by going to those lengths because obviously he's going to find out about it. And even if, you know, she is feeling that way in terms of being really stressed out that she can't get in contact with them, you never let them see you sweat. So I disagree with her going that far, but I can see, especially with her, how he sort of created this expectation that not that they were going to be in a relationship, but that they were trying to move somewhere in the relationship. Like, she was caught off guard when he said, I like you, because she wasn't expecting it. He didn't have to say it. Again, it's not that big of a deal, but I think he definitely created an expectation there. That's just my opinion.
All right. So, just talking about, did you have something you want to move on to?
I guess maybe we could just go to the next main character, Molly.
Go ahead.
So Molly, this week we see her having her first date with Andrew. The date seems to be going really well. My impression of him remains the same. I think he's cute. I think he's direct. He seems to be very funny. This could be something very good for Molly, but ultimately, things don't seem to work out. What do you think?
Molly's going to be the Will in this episode, in this show. If you've ever seen Will and Grace, Will can't seem to get it together. I think they were on for like 10 seasons. And he can't find anybody to date after the first person he got dumped with is like season 1 or something. I don't know. Anyways, he can never build a relationship. And it's always, this person looks good, but this is wrong. This situation looks good, but this is wrong. This situation looks good, but Will's not ready. And that's what Molly's going to be. This situation looks good, but it's not going to work out. And this person looks good, but it's not going to work out. And it's just going to keep over and over and over again. And, you know, like you said, she's self-sabotaging to an extent. But I do think she was completely correct in cutting Andrew off in this point. I think he was disrespectful.
How was he disrespectful, though?
I think he was disrespectful because he's coming at her in a situation like she made a cute little joke about, you know, oh, you kissed your best friend's girlfriend or something like that. And then she was like, ooh, grimy. And he was like, oh, but aren't you the one who was, you know, sleeping with your married friend or something like that?
Right.
Okay, joke for a joke. But then he continues, and he's like, oh, so how did the married guy, lead you on? And then, he just keeps on going, and you can tell when he made the first joke that she was uncomfortable. So if you're on a date, you can see that she's uncomfortable. Kind of pull back. Don't just keep pushing forward.
I disagree. I just feel like they were both bringing up things that they said while high. And Molly, while high, did disclose the fact that she was sleeping around with her married friend. And yeah, he made a joke about it, but I thought Molly was being overly sensitive, and I think she has a pattern of being overly sensitive. It really reminded me of I think it's the first season when she had that whole thing with Jadena. Jadena showed up for her at her friend's engagement party, and then he basically said, I said what I said. I think he said that they were in a relationship, and he was like, I said what I said because you looked like you needed to win. And she did. And she got really upset about it, and she told him to leave. I thought that was an extreme reaction. I feel like she has a problem when people are upfront with her. I think Jadena in that episode was being upfront with her, like you were coming off a little desperate. And I think Odu was being upfront with her, like, how did this married man lead you on? Like, yeah, she's right. Like, he didn't know everything that happened between them, but she set herself up for that. And just because somebody is being upfront with you doesn't mean you have to be super sensitive and tell that person to leave, or in his case, to leave yourself. I don't know. I think she, again, is a self-sabotager, and she has a problem when people confront her with facts.
So Jadena didn't set or create an expectation when he was all talking about this is my girl and all that stuff in front of her coworkers?
No.
No? But Nathan did when he said I liked you?
It was a completely different situation.
They had been dating, and they had actually been on real dates, spending time together,
No,
having
they
dinner.
didn't. No,
Jadena and Molly, yes, they
They
were.
went on one date.
They were on more than one date.
Maybe two. And he was trying to tell her that he really couldn't come to her event, and she kept pressing it. And because she had been pressing it so much, he got the sense, which was correct, that she was feeling anxiety about her coworker's engagement party. And he was trying to be nice.
He didn't have to show up and be like, I'm her boyfriend.
I think it was more than he had to do, but I really do believe that he was trying to be nice. And she could have said, like, look, you didn't have to do that, or you didn't have to handle in that situation. But again, I feel like her reaction was out of proportion to what happened. I think it was too far to tell him to leave. Same thing with Andrew. He doesn't know the whole story between her and oh boy, but he was right. Like, how did a married man lead you on? Like, that's a legitimate question.
I feel like you have different expectations for Molly and Issa. They were in similar situations. I feel like both of the guys did similar things, and if one created an expectation, the other one created an expectation. Or otherwise, it's just, we're just getting to know one another. They're saying nice flowery things to each other, and that's what it is.
I think the situations are different, and I think that Molly has a problem with people being upfront and straight up with her. She gets really sensitive about it, and I think that she sabotaged a good relationship, or not even a relationship. I don't know what happened with Andrew, but he seems like a good dude.
That's also because Molly can't be upfront with herself.
This is true, but this is just another reason why she should go back to therapy.
But if she can't sit back and say, I did this to myself, then how's she gonna let somebody else say that to her?
But don't take that out on that person because you haven't dealt with your own stuff. That's my point. Like, clearly she feels some sort of insecurity, and just because somebody else can pinpoint it and show it to you, don't take it out on them. That's your own issues. Just deal with your own issues. That's my point about Molly. Like, yeah, obviously you feel sensitive about what happened with Dro, but that's you. Like, don't bring somebody else or project on them your own sensitivities.
Good thing you brought up sensitivities. I'm glad you said that. Because we later find out that it's Issa's insecurity that is pushing her so hard toward Nathan anyways. She feels like a fuck up. He makes her feel like not a fuck up. She feels like I'm not going to get that from anyone else. She's very insecure about how she feels about herself right now, and if anybody else is going to, I guess, love her? I don't know if love is the word, but, going to be attracted to her, going to want to be with her. And that's why she had Nathan, and she was holding on so tightly, and she couldn't just let it go.
I mean, I think that's part of the reason. Obviously, she's working out her past issues with Nathan, which is a mistake, in all honesty. This is probably one of the main reasons that she should have had a bigger break between her breakup with Lawrence and whatever happened with her and Daniel. I think she just needed a complete break from dating, but it sounds like, yeah, like she formed this attachment or she formed this expectation because she hasn't dealt with her own issues, which maybe played into her reaction. So,
and it played in to her coffee date.
oh gosh.
Hey, hey, hey. No, I don't even know what's going to happen there, and I'm not ready to talk about that just yet because it's the end, and we should, end on a big bang, big note.
Okay.
But we can move on to Lawrence and talk about how Lawrence is clearly not about the whole life either. And
I said he's a bad hoe.
Yeah, I guess so. Can you be a bad hoe?
Yeah.
What's a bad hoe?
Somebody who gets the clap.
Anyways, I think that's just a bad circumstance. Doesn't necessarily mean he was a bad hoe. But anyways, doesn't seem like he's about that whole life because he's searching for something deeper. And in his search for something deeper, he's decided he wanted to go hang out with baby Jesus. And funny thing is, he got his buddy to go, well, that guy talks a lot. His friend, Chad. Chad talked himself into an invitation to go hang out with the baby Jesus. And it seemed like Lawrence didn't actually want Chad to go, but do you actually tell your friend, nah, I'm going to go check out this sermon on my own?
I think you tell Chad.
But anyway, so Chad shows up, and Chad gets saved, and Lawrence is thrown off by the pastor's sermon, which quite frankly, I would have been thrown, well, I don't do church, but I would have been thrown off by the pastor's sermon too, because these pastors nowadays are trying everything to be so with it or be so hip, and all these pop culture references, and to an extent, they just sound ridiculous. And I think the episode perfectly points out that all of that, you lose the people who are actually searching for something, because they're like, why is he talking about Instagram and Twitter and all of these things that he clearly doesn't know anything about? And what is the sustenance of this message? How is my soul being fed when he's talking about how many likes he's got on Instagram? Or how many likes we shouldn't be wanting to get on Instagram? And it's just pandering to the lowest common denominator. And I'm not sure that it actually works. But I'll let my church beliefs to the side and you take it.
I don't know. For me, this was a hard left turn. I didn't expect them to go this route in terms of Lawrence's storyline. I think it's really interesting that this is the way that he's choosing to find himself. He seems a little lost. I don't know. I just feel like it doesn't seem, at least from what we know right now, he was a regular churchgoer ever. So it seems that, he was disappointed in the message and the fact that he couldn't connect to it. And then he meets someone who seems to be more connected to the service, and he's still questioning whether he can get into it. I don't know. I feel like, everything you read nowadays, it says how church membership has declined significantly in the past several years, and I think that churches are trying more to connect to younger audiences, but obviously this is an example when younger audiences can't really connect to it. I haven't been to church in a while, so I haven't seen this myself, but I can see how that kind of message, if it is to that extreme, would turn people off. It didn't seem authentic to me. I know this is a show, but if that's the kind of message that people are doing where they're trying to put all of these pop cultural references in there, it just doesn't seem authentic at all, and it would turn me completely off. But I think Issa she was right in terms of just saying, like, you don't have to base your whole experience on this one church. You can look for different churches and see what you like and what you don't like. And that's a good point too. Just because he didn't have the best experience at this church, or he really couldn't connect to the message, I don't think he should give up on it. But I would be interested to see if he actually sticks with it. I don't think he will, but we'll see.
I was intrigued because the church lady seemed cool. I mean, she was pretty. She at least seemed to care about the message. She was trying to make him feel welcome and comfortable, and at the same time trying to, get some play in. It seemed like they had a little chemistry. I was really shocked that he was just wasn't for it. He wasn't for it at all.
I mean, to me, honestly, especially when I saw her go up to him, it did seem like, so this could have been innocent or not so innocent. It did seem like she was targeting him, but she may have been targeting him because she's trying to bring in new members around the same age group, and in terms of, you know, following up with the text about the Bible study, maybe that's exactly what she was doing, but maybe not. It just seemed like kind of convenient that she was like, she saw him leave, and then she was like, oh, hey, what did you think? So yeah, it could have been like she's just trying to get on, or she could have, you know, realistically trying to be, you know, make sure this new member comes back again and continues to be involved in the church. So it wasn't shocking to me that he really wasn't into it, because I really didn't feel that they had much of a connection. But I could also see her viewpoint in trying to get other people around the same age and coming back to the church. So maybe that's all she was doing.
Well, maybe. I think she was trying to do both. Definitely think that she was waiting for him outside of the church to, you know, speak to him, and was definitely trying to holler at him. But at the same time, I do think that she was genuine about Bible study and, you know, getting people into the church and things like that. But I do think that she was looking for a date.
Okay.
But she was going the route instead of, hey, do you want to go get drinks? Do you want to meet me at Bible study? Type of thing. So I definitely think that she was looking for a date. I thought that he was feeling it until he sent that text. Like, I don't know, maybe. But I think this finally gets us to the best part of the show, where you see that Issa is going to entrepreneurial class.
Yeah.
And she's going to that class at Lawrence's job, because Lawrence set her up with the course.
Oh, was that at his job? I thought it was just a workshop.
Well, that was the class. That was the workshop.
Oh, I didn't know it was sponsored by his job. Yeah,
well, it was at his job. That's why she was standing on the sidewalk waiting on him.
I thought it was like in the area, and she was like, I'm in the area, you know, can I stop by? I thought it was that kind of thing. I didn't make that connection, but okay.
And so you see that they've had some sort of contact that we didn't know about until we see this scene. And then, you know, it's really hard to step away from the familiar when the strange isn't working. And right now, being out in life without one another is not working for either of them. Lawrence is feeling a little lost. Issa's feeling a little thrown away. Having somebody that you've spent so much time with and you've already got a chemistry, and I mean, clearly they still love one another. That's clear. Whether they love one another, they want to be active about it, that's still to be seen. But they're clearly rebuilding their relationship. They went to coffee. They're having good conversation. There's just something about the way that Lawrence looks at Issa. Somebody's going to make a move. And I think it might be him. And I think she's probably going to shoot him down.
I don't know. That might be where this is going. I honestly, it's kind of hard to tell if they're trying to set this up as like they're rebuilding a friendship that may lead to something, or if they're trying to show that this is where the backsliding happens. Like you said, they're both a little lost. They're clinging to the familiar, and so this is where the backsliding happens. But personally, I hope it's, you know, them building on a friendship and them leaving the backsliding alone. I just feel like it would have I think it would have disastrous consequences. I think Issa needs to be by herself and figure out what she wants out of her life, professionally and personally, before she jumps into something else. And I think Lawrence, the same thing. Like, he just needs to figure out what he wants. You know, professionally, he seems to be okay, but personally, he's a mess. So figure that out first individually before you guys backslide and maybe repeat some of the same mistakes that you did in your relationship. I just think it's a bad idea. So it just makes me kind of wary where they're like smiling and laughing. Like, they're cute together, don't get me wrong, but I just don't want them to backslide because I think it's just a bad idea.
You hate love.
Okay.
Or you hate their love.
I don't hate their love. I just don't think that they should be together right now.
Maybe not. But maybe they're not going to be together right now. Maybe they're going to build a friendship.
That's what I said. I said I'm fine with that.
But a friendship that turns back into love.
I need that to happen like a year down the line. Not like the next episode.
It might happen a year down the line. We have one episode to go. No, and clearly, judging by the previews, next episode is going to be crazy. So...
Well, yeah, I just want them to hold off on that storyline. I think they both need growth individually before they get back together. So.
Okay. But Lawrence and Issa, you should be really excited about this.
I'm not at all.
You should. Daniel's gone. Nathan's gone. We're back to the people who matter. Lawrence, Issa, Molly, Kelly. Tiffany, I think, is going to be gone, but hey, she might come back. And that's all we need in a show. That's it.
I disagree.
Thug Yoda, we could bring him back for a couple,
I just want to see a little bit more growth, and I just don't want them to go back to where they were before when they haven't really fully grown individually. That's all I'm saying. But we'll see. I will be interested to see what happens in the final season of, the final episode of the season. I will be interested to see what happens.
Me too. But anyways, moving right along, we got another comment on our page.
Yes, we did.
And Tanisha's going to talk about this one.
So yeah, this one is from J.L. O'Brien. Thank you again for commenting. He just gave us some general feedback, but he made one point that I wanted to follow up on. He or she, J.L. O'Brien. I'm assuming you're a guy. But he said, someone else pointed out that Andrew is the second Asian guy reaching out to Molly. And he mentions that in season 1, at the fundraising party, there was a teacher who was trying to get with Molly. She shot him down as well. And I thought this was an interesting point for because of Issa's book. I think in her book, it's called The Misadventures of an Awkward Black Girl, she made the point in a joking manner that because of the statistics surrounding black women in dating, we should be pursuing Asian men much more than we are right now. So I think it's quite interesting. I don't know if this is intentional or not, but I think it's interesting that two of the people who have been interested in Molly and have been fairly direct in their interest have both been Asian, but she shot them down. And I don't know. It seems like if she would give these opportunities a chance, she might find what she's looking for. But I thought that was a really good point, J.L. O'Brien. So thank you for commenting, and we would appreciate more comments. We will discuss them in our episode.
Thank you so much. In terms of shooting people down, I think this Andrew guy wasn't about anything anymore.
You a hater.
I mean, okay.
He had jokes.
He had jokes, and he had like 17 colors in his mouth. So
he's cute. He's direct. He's funny.
He has a discolored tooth.
You are vain. Oh my god.
I'm sorry. That would throw me off. I'm sorry. Bad breath. That whole thing.
How do you know he has bad breath?
I have a dentist appointment at 8 in the morning. Anyways, I don't know that he has bad breath, but I do know if I was sitting across from somebody who had a discolored tooth, that would throw me off. Didn't throw Molly off. The comment threw her off. I'm just saying. He didn't seem like he was going to be about anything anyways.
I don't understand how you say that when he was the one being upfront with her and asking her out and trying to have a good time with her. He was the one saying, like, can I see you again? Trying to make plans. Listen, a guy making plans, actual plans, it's like a unicorn nowadays. So hat tip to Andrew because he's actually trying to do something where Molly's the one who's BSing.
Boo hoo.
Oh,
she had that guy who showed up at her parents' anniversary party. He was all about Molly. He was making plans. He was taking her to dinner. He was doing everything right, and she didn't like him either. And you weren't his. Well, we didn't have a show then.
Right, I was just saying you accusing me of something we didn't even discuss before.
You weren't his. Like this guy isn't special.
We're talking about Andrew.
Andrew ain't special.
We're talking about Andrew. I think he's a good guy, and Molly's a fool for letting him go. That's what I think.
Well, Molly's got her own issues. I agree, though. She does need to go back to therapy. She needs to deal with that drug situation, and things might work out for her.
Oh, her coworker. We didn't talk about her coworker being mad at her for doing the presentation.
That guy's in his feelings, and quite frankly, he would have done the same thing if she was unavailable. So he needs to get over it.
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, I understand what he's doing, but yeah, just seeing it in action, I'm like, what is your deal? Like, she didn't steal your lunch. So yeah, I don't know, but it just seems like now, especially that Molly has burned the bridges with the black women, it doesn't seem like she has any allies in that workplace, and so she's once again in a very awkward position at this firm.
But she is in an awkward position, but Molly didn't come in as an associate. So, and this guy isn't a partner, so it's like she's not first year. So why does she have to take a back seat to him because he said so? And if she sees the opportunity to present to the partners who clearly want to hear what's going on with the case, and this guy is doing something else, and she can do the presentation, it's not like she said, oh, I did all of this myself, here's the presentation. When she's speaking to the partners, she's like, we found some cases, we put together a presentation. All she's saying is, I can give it to you if you guys really need it right now.
I agree. I mean, I think what she did was fine, so I'm not disagreeing with you about that. But I just think this goes back to the fact that she messed up by hitching her star to him. Like, just because he seemed to be the star of the firm, I thought it was a mistake to work with him because of his arrogant tendencies. And that has played out. Like, I felt like she should have stuck with the black women because they would have had her back. And now she doesn't have any allies. She burned her bridges with them, and now she burned her bridge with the arrogant dude. So I just think it was a mistake for her to try to, like, get into bed and be buddy-buddy with him because it was going to come back and bite her, and it has.
But if she burned her bridges with the arrogant dude, but she showed off to the partners, and they're like, we got something here. Who cares? She don't need him.
You might care later when you need somebody in your corner at a firm that you're still quite new at. So, I don't know. I mean, obviously her work will speak for itself, but it's going to be a lonely rise to the top if none of her coworkers are really feeling her like that or are willing to, like, go out on a limb for her. Again, I don't think she did anything wrong by doing the presentation by herself, but I can see how now she's a little bit isolated because she seems to have pissed off the major players in the firm. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got.
So what do you think? Grade for this episode?
I think they portrayed, although I think Issa probably could have let it go a little sooner, I think they portrayed it well. You know, when you actually want to hear from somebody and you're not hearing from that person, I think they portrayed it well. It's all the thoughts, and I've never had sleepless nights, but all the thoughts and why won't they text me, and every time you hear your phone go off, you're like, oh, is that person? You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think they portrayed that really well. I think the portrayal of that was an A.
But
I think the overall episode might be like a B.
okay.
There were parts that whatever that verb is. There were parts that were really slow and kind of uninteresting. So
I didn't think that. I just felt like for certain parts for me, it's not that I didn't like them, it's just like I don't like where I think the storyline is going, and I could be totally wrong, so I'll say that. But I think overall this episode for me gets a B+. I think the reaction to the ghosting was accurate, except the stalking part. But yeah, the whole Lawrence storyline, like with the church and buddying with Issa so soon. I don't know, just to me, like the church is not realistic. I think he's still a hoe and he just needs to get his act together. But with the whole Issa thing, I just feel like I'm fine with them being friendly. I just think they need to give each other more space. But overall, I thought it was a B+ episode.
I agree with that. So what are we going to toast to? Clearly not the love of Issa and Lawrence, because someone else loved them.
Well, I don't know. I chose last week and you hated it. You hated babies. Apparently, you hate babies.
I just don't want any babies.
You can still be pro-baby, though.
I'm not sure that I am.
Okay.
I mean, you gotta, yeah.
Well, you choose it.
Let's not get into that.
You choose it this week.
I don't have anything to toast to. I think we're going to toast to...
Not so easy, is it?
It's not, but I didn't know I was going to be on the spot. I mean, this is your part of the show. This is your job. No, you know what I'm gonna toast to? The fact that Lawrence and Issa, take that. I'm gonna toast to the fact that Lawrence and Issa have come back full circle. And
they haven't come back full circle. Why are you always reaching? Like, that's too much.
And they're at least at a point where they can sit across the table from one another.
This is the longest toast ever. Are you at a wedding? Like, what the heck?
And be supportive of one another and show that they actually care and there's not so much hate, anger, and tension.
I'm going to toast the crown. Cheers.
Nope.
I'm not toasting to that. Wedding toast.
You have to toast it. I had to toast the babies.
Well, you did. You did.
Doing my own toast.
Cheers.
See you guys next week.
Bye. See you next week.